of knowingness to flow through this great and powerful field. Which thoughts become known to you are determined by your thought processes, for the electromagnetic portion of your aura draws thought to you according to your thinking. Your spirit is like a sieve on the bank of the ever-moving, ever-changing river of thought. Through that light you stand in the receivership of the mind of God, the thought flow where all knowledge is. Thus you have the ability to know all there is to know, for you are in the continuous flow of all consciousness, the river of knowledge, of all knowledge. Consciousness is like a river, and your whole self, including every cell of your body, is continuously being fed by it. For thought supports and gives credence to your life. You live by thought, from consciousness flow. Just as your body lives by the flow of blood that carries the substance of food to every cell, so is your whole self being sustained through the substance of thought emanating from the flow of consciousness. You create every moment of your existence with thought that comes from consciousness flow. You are continuously taking thought from the river of thought, feeling in your soul, feeding and expanding your entire being through that emotion, and putting the thought of your expanded self back into the river, which expands the consciousness of all life. You may contemplate a thought of creativity this day. As you do, the thought is felt, recorded in your soul as an electrical frequency, and that same frequency leaves your body and goes out into consciousness for someone else to pick up and create from. What you think and feel, everyone else has access to. They feed from your thoughts and you feed from theirs. Consciousness consists of all thoughts emanating from all entities and all things. The thoughts that make up consciousness are of different electrical frequencies. Some are very low or slow frequency thoughts, those which predominate here in social consciousness. Very slow and low in this society. Should we talk about the weather? Should we talk about the government? Oh, I can probably put this back on now. Sort of fits here. The thoughts that make up consciousness are of different electrical frequencies. Some are very slow or low frequency thoughts, those which predominate here in social consciousness. Others are higher frequency thoughts, the more unlimited thoughts of super consciousness. Consciousness is the sum of all the different frequency values of thought, with each thought of value attracting like values from everywhere. Social consciousness is a density of electrical thought frequencies, yet one that is lighter than air. The density of social consciousness is constituted of expressed thought that has been expressed through emotion by every entity. That is, it is made up of realized thought that each entity has already taken in, felt in his soul, and distributed through his auric field back into the river of thought for everyone else to feed from. The thoughts upon which your plane thrives are the limited, low-frequency thoughts of social consciousness. Those thoughts are very restrictive, very judgmental, very harsh, because your lives are governed by attitudes related to survival and the fear of death, whether it is the death of the embodiment or the death of the ego. Thus your consciousness is occupied with thoughts of food, shelter, labor gold, with judgments of proper and improper, good and bad, with fashion, beauty, acceptance, comparison, age, disease, and death. These low-frequency thoughts easily come through your auric field because they predominate in the thinking of those around you. So you are continuously being fed by limited thoughts from a very restrictive, stagnated consciousness. And as you allow these thoughts to feed you, you put the feeling of them back out to regenerate and perpetuate the limited thinking of man. The consciousness in your great cities is particularly limited because most of those who live there are very competitive, very time and fashion oriented, and very fearful and unaccepting of one another. Thus all of your great cities are enveloped by a thick density of consciousness. What those who come here from other universes see when they look upon your cities is a dense network of multicolored lights, low-frequency thoughts of a very limited consciousness displayed as a light field. The higher frequency thoughts of superconsciousness are those of isness, being, life, harmony, oneness, ongoingness. They are thoughts of love. They are thoughts of joy. They are the thoughts of genius. They are the unlimited thoughts that are, in truth, beyond expression, even through these words. For the feelings from unlimited thoughts go beyond words of description, of the scriptures, of the scribes scribbling, the bulletins. The higher frequency thoughts can be more easily experienced in the consciousness of the wilderness, or wilderness, away from the stagnated thinking of man, because there life is simple, timeless, ongoing, and in complete harmony with itself. There, away from the judgment of man, you can hear the heartbeat of your own knowingness. How do you have the ability to pick up thought from consciousness flow? The electromagnetic portion of your aura draws thought to you according to your thought processes and your emotional state of being. In order for thought to feed you, in order for it to be felt and realized within your being, it first must be lowered into a light form. Once thought meets the spirit of your being, the light surrounding your body, it explodes into a burst of light. That is, thought ignites itself once it meets light. Light lowers the substance of thought. Thus light has drawn like to it. Thought is unseen and then seen through a burst of light. The thought, in the form of light, enters your brain and is transmuted into an electrical light propellant of a given frequency, according to the value of the thought being received. The moment you become aware of any one thing, you are receiving the thought of it. At the moment you are receiving the thought, the light of that thought is received by your brain. There are entities who occasionally see bursts of light, usually out of the sides of their eyes. What they are seeing in most instances is their own spirit's acceptance of thought. The very moment they see the light before them in brilliant display is the moment that thought has entered into their auric field and displayed itself within their brain. If you close your eyes and see the movement of color or the expansion of designs, you are experiencing what thought looks like entering your brain. Your brain is a grand receiver of electrical thought frequencies, with different parts designed to receive, house, and amplify the different frequencies of thought. The different parts have different potentials to house and electrify thought, depending upon the density of water in its cellular walls. The water in the walls. Some parts are capable of housing and amplifying only the higher thought frequencies. Other parts house and amplify only the lower frequencies of thought. Your brain does not create thought, contrary to popular belief. It simply allows thought to enter into it from consciousness flow. It is an organ, your brain, designed by the gods specifically for the purpose of receiving and housing thought that has come through the spirit of your being, transforming it into an electrical current, amplifying it, and sending it through the central nervous system to every part of your body so that it can be realized for an understanding. In your technology, you have what is termed radio receivers, which with gauges to determine sound volume and which megahertz or frequency level is received. Well, the brain is also a receiver with gauges, and it can receive a given frequency only if the part of your brain designed to house that frequency has been activated. Saying that consciousness is caused by the brain is like saying that light is caused by the bulb. It's nonsense. Your brain's ability to receive different thought frequencies is controlled by a powerful gauge called the pituitary gland, which is lodged between the left and right hemispheres of your brain. The pituitary, also called the seventh seal, rules your brain. It is responsible for activating different parts of your brain to receive and house the different thought frequencies. It is the door that opens your capacity to contemplate and reason with thought. Realize it through your body and manifest it into an experience for greater understanding. The pituitary is very small, is a very small but very wonderful little gland, G-land, that many call the third eye. I think this is maybe supposed to be the pineal gland, not the pituitary. I think. Well, one does not have a third eye. There is no room for it in your head. The pituitary, I think it's supposed to be pineal, doesn't even look like an eye. It looks like a pear with a little mouth at the narrow point, and it appears to be petal-like. Your brain is governed and controlled by the functions of this powerful gland through a complex system of hormone flows. The pituitary, which is a ductless gland, secretes a hormone that flows through the brain into the... Okay, so it is the pituitary. It's related to the pineal. Okay, let's read this over. The pituitary is a very small but very wonderful little gland that many call the third eye. Well, one does not have a third eye. There is no room for it in your head. The pituitary doesn't even look like an eye. It looks like a pear with a little mouth at the narrow point, and it appears to be petal-like. Your brain is governed and controlled by the functions of this powerful gland through a complex system of hormone flows. The pituitary, which is a ductless gland, secretes a hormone that flows through the brain into the mouth of the pineal, another ductless gland, which sits near the pituitary at the base of the lower cerebellum and above the spinal column. The pineal, or sixth seal, is the gauge responsible for amplifying thought frequencies so they can be sent throughout the body. The hormone flow from the pituitary into the pineal, from the pie to the pie, is what activates different parts of your brain to receive and house the different thought frequencies. The functions of the body are maintained in a harmony through the flow of hormones coming from ductless glands and issuing into the blood supply. The pineal is responsible for maintaining that harmony. The flow of hormones from the pineal activates all the other glands to secrete their hormones in harmony with each other, thus creating what is termed hormone balance. The level of that balance is determined by the collective thought frequencies being received by the pineal system. The higher the thought frequencies, the greater the hormone flow throughout the embodiment. Also, the greater the frequencies, the more the pineal activates the pituitary to secrete its hormone flow, which activates the brain to receive even higher thought frequencies. How is thought from consciousness flow realized within your being? When thought comes through your aura, the aura does not define it, meaning it does not judge or alter the thought. It lets it come forth unlimited. When thought propellants reach the brain, they travel first to the upper left hemisphere of the cerebrum, where the intellect or reasoning functions reside and the altered ego is expressed. Altered. Now, what is the altered ego? Not alter ego, but altered. A-L-T-E-R-E-D, ego. What is it? It is the understanding gained from the human experience that is stored in the soul and articulated through the reasoning portions of the brain. It is the collective attitudes of God/man, living merely as a surviving creature, living in the shadow of social consciousness. And that collective view will refuse to accept any thought frequency that does not fit within its security, that does not help to ensure the survival of the entity. The altered ego is the refusal to allow thoughts to be received and entertained for a greater realization within the embodiment. As I said, that's not written in here, but I say it, that the only devil here is this altered ego. Each thought frequency that the altered ego allows to flow into the brain is transferred into an electrical current and sent to that portion of the brain that has been activated by the pituitary to house that frequency. That portion of the brain then amplifies the current and sends it to the pineal system. The pineal system governs your central nervous system. It collects each frequency of thought given to it, further amplifies it, and propels it through the central nervous system, which runs through the spinal column as a highway of electrical thought. The electrical current coming from the pineal system flows through the fluid of the central nervous system, which is water, down through the spine and then through every nerve of every cell of your body. Now every cell in your body is fed through the blood supply with gas derived from the action of enzymes on food intake. When the electrical current from the thought enters into the cellular structures, it enters as a spark of light. The spark ignites the cell, causing the gas to expand, which allows the cell to duplicate itself in what is called a cloning process. Allows it to create another cell and to regenerate itself. Thus, the whole of the body is fed through that one singular thought. That is how life is substantiated within the molecular structures of the embodiment, through the effects of all the thoughts that you allow yourself to receive every moment of your existence. As thought continuously feeds every cell of your body, your entire body responds to its electrical impulse, your entire body. Thus, the effect of a thought experienced throughout every cell creates a feeling, a sensation, an emotion, or what is termed a rush within the body. That feeling is then sent to your soul to be recorded there. Your soul is a grand recorder, an unbiased computer, which records very scientifically every emotion felt within your embodiment. Repeat, your soul is a grand recorder, an unbiased computer, neutral, which records very scientifically every emotion felt within your embodiment, within your body, mind, your body-mind. When you feel emotional, you are feeling a thought that has bombarded the light structure of your being, has been accepted through your brain, and has been sent throughout the central nervous system to produce a sensation in every cell of your body. The soul then records that sensation as an emotion for the purpose of referral, what is termed memory. Memory does not have size. It is an essence. Memory is not a visual accounting. It is an emotional accounting. It is emotion that creates the visual image. The soul does not record pictures or words for the purpose of memory. It records the emotions of those images and words. The soul takes the emotion created by thought being felt throughout the body and searches through its memory banks for a resemblance, a resemblance, one which the reasoning portions of the brain, what you term intellect, can identify in order to select a word to describe the feeling. Everything you can describe has certain feelings associated with it based on experience. You know flowers as flowers because of your emotional experiences with them. You have seen and touched and smelled and worn the structures called flowers. Thus the flower feels a certain way to you. You know silk as silk because you associate with it certain sensations and emotional experiences, which give rise to the understanding termed silk. The soul has recorded all of that information from your emotional experiences. So when the feeling from the thought is felt, the soul records that feeling and searches its memory banks for similar feelings from prior thoughts experienced. It then sends that information back to your brain to indicate that the thought has been realized, understood in its totality throughout the embodiment. Thought is not realized simply through your brain. It is realized in the totality of your body. The reasoning portion of your brain then allows you to formulate a word to describe the feeling. How is thought realized and known? Through emotion. Knowingness is wholly a feeling. The thought of anything cannot be known until it is first felt. Then it has an identity. To know a thought is to accept it into your brain and then allow yourself to feel it, to experience it throughout your body. Knowledge is not the proving of any one thing. It is the emotional ascertainment of it. Once you have the feeling within, then you can say, I know. I have the feeling, I know. I have the feeling, I know. Within you, indeed, my beloved masters, lies the door to all knowledge. The fire that burns within you is the same fire that flickers in every minute atom, in every star, in every cellular form, in everything that is. It is the same identical fire. Your oneness with all life is realized through the principle of light. For the light that gives credence to emotion in your soul is the same light that gives life to the blossoms, the stars, and to everything else that is. So within you, you possess the ability to know all things. To know anything is not to understand it through intellectual rhetoric that is surrounded with elaborate words that mean nothing. The knowingness of the flower is reached by the inner being through feelings. You can always tell how something is thinking through the frequency it emits, called emotion. If you want to know anything, all you have to do is feel it. You will always be absolutely correct. How does thought create the experiences of your life? The pineal is the seal of knowing into manifestation. The pineal is the seal of knowing into manifestation. Whatever knowingness you allow yourself to receive will become a reality first in your body. For the pineal is responsible for sending that thought as an electrical current throughout your body to be registered as emotion. The more unlimited the thought, the greater and faster the frequency that is shot throughout your body. Thus, the greater the high or rush experienced in your body. That feeling is then recorded and stored in your soul as a given frequency. The feeling of every thought recorded in your soul is then put forth into your aura as an expectancy. And that expectancy activates the electromagnetic portion of your light field to draw to you, much like a magnet, the likeness of whatever your collective attitude thinking is. It will draw to you situations, things, objects, or entities that will create the same feelings experienced in your body from all your thoughts. Why? So you can experience your thoughts through a three-dimensional reality for the prize of experience called wisdom. Visdom. Vision. Wise dome. Dominion. Om. Home. Rome. How are your desires manifested? A desire is nothing more than the thought of fulfillment seen through an object, entity, or experience. Whatever thought of fulfillment you allow yourself to feel leaves your body through your electromagnetic field, and it goes into consciousness flow to draw to you whatever will produce the same feeling from the desire experienced in your body. The more completely and intensely that desire is felt within your body, the more complete will be its fulfillment. And the more you know with absolute certainty that your desire will be fulfilled, the quicker the manifestation. For absolute knowingness is a high-frequency thought that enhances the expectancy put forth through the auric field, thus amplifying your power to manifest your desires. You have the ability to know everything there is to know. That is what your brain was designed for, so that a God living on a physical plane in a physical body could experience and understand whatever dimension of God he or she desired, seen through three-dimensional forms. Whatever thoughts you allow yourself to know through your wonderful receiver will become an experienced reality, seen first within your embodiment and then through the conditions of your life. And whatever your desire, you have the ability, through knowing, to manifest into your life in the twinkling of an eye. That is how you create the kingdom of heaven on earth. It is a simple science. Remember, thought is. Then light is seen. Then light is lowered into electrical impulses. Electrical impulses are lowered to become mass. And from the mass, they are lowered to represent the thought ideal. The same truth works in the body. It is thought, light, receiving unit. From the receiving unit, it takes the electrum and runs it through the mass in order for the mass to understand through feeling. Feeling. To manifest your desires, all you have to do is feel whatever you desire, and the feeling is sent back to the Father to fulfill your desires. That is all there is to it. Too simple? You want it more complex?